Tonight, we will hear from the nation's only prehistoric film critic. And I have a variety of films to discuss with you, even a documentary. And you know how rare that is for me. As cinematic class is about to begin, your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, and other sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies. And I guess this was an inevitability. I am going to have to do reports for you on the streaming services because they are putting out a veritable plethora of product. First up on the docket, let's start with Netflix. Netflix tapped Zack Snyder and came up with what they were hoping would be a tentpole movie for them called Army of the Dead. It starred Dave Bautista, and it concerned a group of mercenaries who were trying to pull off a heist during a zombie apocalypse. Folks, this movie had an awful lot of action in it, but man, the storyline was lame and the characterizations were really, really weak. So if you're looking for a good action movie and something like plot, story, characters doesn't mean a thing to you, this might have been worthwhile. Otherwise, it was really didn't live up to what it was supposed to be. They had a series on there called Jupiter's Legacy, and I have to admit that I really enjoyed watching. The season 1 is on. It was 8 episodes long. It was really an alternative look at the life of superheroes, and I enjoyed it immensely. 2 days after I finished season 1, Netflix came out and announced that they would not renew the show for the second season. This is kind of absurd because season 1 ended in a series of cliffhangers with subplots and main plot and everything. So everyone who watched the show is going to be left dangling. Netflix really didn't have a good reason for canceling it, and ironically, the day after Netflix canceled the show, Jupiter's Legacy, the very next day, topped the list for streaming shows against all platforms. Not smart. Take a look at who's on their advising council, and that may give you a clue as to why Netflix now has a lot of egg on its face. Netflix also finally got the second half of season 5 of Lucifer. It's kind of interesting what they did with the story. The season 5 was originally halted midway because of the restrictions from the Wuhan virus, and now they opened up production again, finished it, and you could finish out season 5. What's unique about this is how they skirt around the issue of Christianity. If you take a look at certain scenes and certain parts of dialogue, you'll see that they're giving a nod in that direction, but they can't actually come out and say anything relating to Christianity because that would be a Hollywood no-no. Let's jump streaming services for a moment here and go to Disney+. Those folks were very nice to give me a preview of the first 2 episodes of Loki. Now, folks, Loki is a really good character, especially when he's played by Tom Hiddleston, and he reprises his role for this TV show. He is really the character worth watching in all the Avenger and Thor movies because he's kind of the fulcrum. The god of mischief is certainly that, but not in this series. No. This is Disney, folks. So they're taking the god of mischief. They're taking this rascal with supernatural powers and they're turning him into a PC protagonist. I don't like the way this one's going. And unless there's a big 180 switcheroo in the final episodes, they could have maybe ruined this character. Here's a look now at Loki.
Here we are, behind the scenes, with Loki.
Loki.
Here he is. That's me.
It's this really big story with a mixture of tones and genres.
Loki's the god of mischief. We have to do mischievous things.
We're creating real mayhem.
Bye.
The TVA oversee the sacred timeline and keeps order.
What if you take a character who represents chaos and you put him in that world? You can trust me.
Oh, you've literally stabbed people in the back like 50 times.
I'd never do it again. This is something I don't think Marvel has ever done.
It is very different.
The audience will be really excited.
Sure. This is the good part.
I love the action.
There's interesting characters.
There's twists and turns.
It's awe-inspiring. What could possibly go wrong? What did you expect?
Say, I hate to keep you on a downer note, but I'm afraid I have to. You know, I have gone overboard praising the talents of Taylor Sheridan. I think he's one of the premier scriptwriters in Hollywood today. To this point, he has done no wrong. To this point. Okay, now he has stubbed his toe, and the movie is Those Who Wish Me Dead. Wow, this didn't work out very good at all. I'm not sure how much Taylor had to do with this, but you know, the movie starts off well, and I want to say for about 80% of the movie, it follows in typical Sheridan template. You know, very tense, good acting, nice story. Everything is moving along and fitting in nice, and then the final reels come. And this thing just goes to hell in a handbasket. It really does. There is absolutely no sense in the concluding reels and in the concluding of the film. And there is no continuity. What happens in the final two reels of the movie has little relevance to what we watched going up to that point. It's almost as if 80% through the movie, Sheridan stopped writing it and somebody else picked it up. That's the way it seems. I'm not sure if that's the way it happened, but that's the way it seems. Angelina Jolie stars in this, and for those of you who remember my review so many years ago, she's actually doing a Lara Croft Tomb Raider thing in this movie. You'll understand if you watch my review. This one, ouch. Sorry, Taylor, it's not going to cut the mustard. We'll give it a C-.
I'm not gonna hurt you. I want to see where the blood's coming from. It's not my blood. You in trouble? Anyone else in trouble?
My dad said if anything happened, I should find someone I can trust. Are you someone I can trust?
We promise absolutes. Act accordingly.
Those men that came for your father. Did you see their faces? That's them.
Cut you down.
Give me something else to worry about.
Listen.
Run on for a long time.
You're gonna run,
Run on for a long
and you're gonna keep running.
Sooner or later, gonna cut you down.
That eats everything in its path.
Down.
You really want to die for this kid?
Take a deep breath. Hold it. And lay back.
What happens next?
You're looking right in the eye.
Tell 'em that God's gonna cut you down. Tell 'em that God's gonna.
So, I've talked a lot on this show. Well, no wonder they're our sponsor, House of Fallujah, barbershop and cigar lounge. I got to tell you, let's talk about the barbershop for a while, because Sam can have you styling and profiling down there. You walk into that place, you're not going to, there are so many different products and things, anything that you could possibly think of that you might need, he's got in there, and he's got more than one kind. It's like a smorgasbord of really good manly products, good kind of stuff. And the cigar lounge, as I've said for the last few weeks, is literally 2 floors of man cave. There's everything in there, and you have libations and really good cigars. I mean, you could have yourself a great time. We had, and I mentioned it on the show, one hell of a night down there. The group from the show, and wow, it was amazing. And we got another one coming up. We're going to do a close to the 4th of July celebration down there. So if you're a little bit leery about maybe going down, that might be the night you want to check it out. Come on in and sit with us. We'll be glad to have you along. Food, libations, cigars, games. We had a dart game. Never mind, I don't even want to get into it. Great times to be had at House of Fallujah, barbershop and cigar lounge. They're at the corner of Drake Road and South Park Road, right across from the Ruth Fred Market. Give them a call. Tell Sam I sent you along. He'll be sure to take good care of you. Great place to spend some time, guys, especially when you need that quiet time for yourself. So the folks at Paramount Pictures have come out with a movie called Gully, and this one really, wow, it just, I don't understand the rationale or the thinking behind it. There's really not a plot to the whole movie. It just follows this group of young black kids around, and it tries to tie a lot of their antics up with the machinations of a video game. So in that respect, there was a little bit of cleverness to it. But the whole thrust of this story is, it centers around an incident where these black kids are walking down the street one day. There's these 2 white guys walking in the opposite direction, and for no reason, the group of black kids they beat the living tar out of these white guys, okay? They leave them all busted up and bruised and bleeding on the street and just pummel them mercilessly. And then later in the movie, these guys that were beaten up are riding around in a car, and they see the same group of black kids, and they get out of the car and get their revenge, and they end up shooting the one kid. And at that point, the movie turns, okay? And it says, you know what? This is white supremacy. And I went like this, and I went, wait a minute. These guys were beat up by this group of black kids, and when the guys come back and get their fare-ups, their retribution, suddenly now it's oppression, it's white supremacy. This is a very demented wokeness in Hollywood that is, I don't even understand this one. It was written by Marcus Guillory. And Marcus, if this is your ideology of how things go, that, the black kids can beat up whoever they want, but when the tables turn, all of a sudden it's oppression. Wow, son, no. It was directed by Nabil Elderkin, and it stars Kevin Harrison, Jacob Lattimore, and Charlie Plummer. Unless you're a saint of the critical race theory, this movie, it makes no sense at all, and I can't see anybody empathizing with any of the lead characters in this thing. We're going to give it a D.
Dreams ain't real. Today, things will be different. Somehow that voice inside knows there's a storm coming. Hello.
Jesse!
Get over here, Dope.
Who's responsible for my misery?
Put your hands where I can see him.
We're gonna handle it.
What did you do?
That misery is yours to end.
You and Nikki, you all I got.
You scared to die, Greg, ain't you? I guess you ain't heard me. I'm already dead.
Life's a lot like them waves. Sometimes we feel like there ain't no rhyme or reason. Can't nothing be further from the truth.
Okay, when is a zombie movie not a zombie movie? Well, you can answer by saying it's like seasons 3 through 9 of The Walking Dead, but that would be cruel. True, but cruel. This movie, and I'm talking about the movie Fear, begins with a glimpse of the future, what the future would look like if Joe Biden's economic plan goes into effect. And it ends with, predictably, a single-parent family, of course, led by the mother. Something's never changed. Look, on the surface, folks, this looks like a zombie movie. It is not. There's a zombie scene in the beginning, and there's one at the end. And in the middle, this is just filled with human drama and interaction. It's more of a study on human nature and how folks react to one another under circumstances of dire pressure, okay? There is one new aspect they add to the zombie motif, and that is that these zombies don't like the cold. So a lot of people who are not zombies are moving northward, and they don't have to worry about the zombies until, summertime comes along. Other than that, this one really has nothing new to offer. It's kind of slow, and you get tired of these people squabbling with one another. We're going to grant this one a grade of a C, but when it comes to things of monstrous proportions, we always turn to Rex Real.
Dinos have better ethics than people.
We've already searched and siphoned everything within a 25-mile radius. Nobody's coming, Ethan. They've given up.
How many rounds left?
Not enough. The rifle?
Same.
Oh my God. Get out! Dad!
Get inside!
Careful now. Times like these, we need to rely on one another.
Where's your camp?
Ain't far. Ain't no map gonna get you there. What you need is someone who knows the way.
Curing the infection is a case-by-case basis.
50-50. Cure or kill. I remember.
She's coming! The zones, where are they starting from? Where?
South. It attracts the infected. They're drawn to the heat. That's why you're here, right? Hiding.
Wrong. Surviving.
I don't often watch or review documentaries, and that's because probably about a good decade or more ago, documentaries stopped being documentaries and actually turned into propaganda pieces. And they have not found their way back to true documentaries. It's sad, but probably the way that people are being taught in journalism schools nowadays. But yet, this one I was compelled to watch because it had kind of an intriguing theme to it. And it concerns, and I hope I say this right, we're going into Russia here, the Yatlov Pass incident of 1959. What actually caused this? Was it Yetis? Was it UFOs? Was it the government? I don't think anyone still knows. This documentary is a little bit self-serving, and let me tell you that it was written, edited, and directed by Liam Legiliu. And Liam, wow, he is very high on himself. This documentary goes about 2 hours long, and if you take out all the segments where he's patting himself on the back, it probably would be 1 hour and 10 minutes long, okay? So you have to suffer through an awful lot of ego in putting this thing together. What basically happened back in 1959, you had a group of 9 people who were going on and I don't know why people hike and go mountain climbing and on excursions in winter. I fail to understand, but that's what these folks did. All 9 were wiped out. There were 5 of them found in the camp, and they all exhibited as if they had been in a fight. Knuckles were all bruised, they were all beaten, and it looked like there was a big fight involved. 4 of them were found a mile away from the camp, and these people were actually slaughtered. That is the unknown compelling force, because they were hit, most of them on the side of the head, pardon me, and bashed in, and they were kind of attacked and killed. They thought it was Yeti. They saw things in the sky. They thought it was UFOs. Some thought it was the government that these folks had wandered on a secret. They tried to blame a religious group called the Mansi, and these people are a religion all in themselves. They don't pay attention to the Russian government at all. Don't ask me how they get away with that. The whole documentary concludes just like our very own UFO study came out and said, well, there's something there, but we still don't know what it is. That's basically how this ends. They're convinced these folks were murdered. They just don't know how. The name of the movie is Unknown Compelling Force. We're going to give it a C.
In 1959, 9 Russian students were found frozen to death in the Ural Mountains in an event now known as the Dyatlov Pass incident. Found a mile from their tent without their winter clothes or boots, each one suffering inexplicable injuries. Despite the clues and evidence of violence, the official cause of death was stated as hypothermia. This only fueled conspiracy theories from alien visitors to Russian Yetis. Just what were the hikers fleeing from?
Произошел какой-то взрыв.
Maybe our government.
Every diary entry in every photo seems to hide a clue.
There were rumors that they just killed each other.
I don't believe that in any way could this be an accident.
With so many conflicting stories, I've come to Russia to ask the question, what is the true story of the Dyatlov Pass?
You know, I don't expect a lot from my horror movies. I expect them to be horrible, but I also expect them to have some semblance of logic behind them. And this one, it's about a Russian demon, and it's made in Canada. So we're heading off the rails already. The name of the movie is called Queen of Spades, and what the Queen of Spades is, it's the Russian version of Bloody Mary. They even say it in the movie. Okay, so we know where we're going from. But I don't think the Canadians know how to do the Russians any justice. Let me give you an example. Out of the group of people who are involved with this demon, naturally the black kid dies first. That's pretty much what has to happen. So when they go to the black kid's funeral, there's only one other black person at the funeral. Everybody else looks Canadian, eh? So right off the bat, you have some continuity problems here when this kid dies and there's nobody from one person from his family. Look, this movie had an awful lot of inconsistencies to it. For example, the old Russian guy that they look for help to fight this demon sets up an intricate photo development lab in an apartment bathroom like that, okay? Nobody knows where he got the equipment. It's just 1 minute he's talking to them and the next minute, bang, he's in this lab. Wow, okay. There's a ring. The ring is cursed. Why was the ring cursed? We don't know. How was the ring cursed? We don't know. Who cursed the ring? We don't know. Where did the girl get the ring? We don't know. All right. Now, the other bad thing about this is there's 2 girls in a bathroom. They encounter the demon. The one gets knocked down. The other one escapes. And then what happened to the one that was knocked down? We never see her again. She wasn't dead. They left her in the bathroom and they ran out of the house and just left. Why? Wow, what friends. Okay. And then the final insult, they take the exact ending of The Exorcist and they copy it for the ending of this movie. Wow. Not a way to go. The writer-director was Patrick White, and it stars Ava Preston, Daniel Cash, and Kayleen Ohm. Folks, we're going to give this one a C-. And once again, when it comes to things that go bump in the night, we turn to the nation's only prehistoric film critic, Rex Real. Russians should find their own demons, not steal intellectual property.
So I looked up the Queen of Spades. It's like Bloody Mary. The thing is you need a mirror, and then a Queen of Spades from a deck of cards. And you take the card and you place it against the mirror. You get red lipstick, draw a door, and then you say, Queen of Spades, show yourself 3 times.
Queen of Spades, show yourself. Queen of Spades, show yourself.
Queen of Spades, show yourself.
Now what?
Anna said you and the others played a joke on her.
It's just a game that the boys wanted to scare us with.
I've been marked, Anna.
Sebastian, what exactly is going on here?
Look at this, okay?
He thinks the Queen of Spades is real. How do we get rid of her?
It is a theory, too dangerous.
We can talk with her, but we can only ask her yes or no questions. Will you kill Katie? Me? Anna?
There she is. There's no medical procedure for demonic possession!
It's crazy, there has to be another way.
You have to trust me!
For our final review tonight, let's talk about Song for a Sloth. Dad dies. The kids are getting together for the reading of the will, and the one kid is having a mental breakdown. In the course of his mental breakdown, he manages to find a sloth in a tree, and he talks to this sloth to try to find some semblance of sanity. Okay, now that has the potential to be very funny. The sloth only appears in 3 very short segments in the movie. That's a mistake. When the sloth appears, initially, he's funny. The other 2 times, he is not. That is a problem. The underlining theme to this movie is leave business and corporations and become an artist. Wow. Misses the mark. Richard Holman, Jack McBrayer, Brian McCarthy, and Ava Eisenson all star in this movie. It was written, directed, and edited by Braddles Hassey. Here's a look at Song.
Hey, how are you feeling?
Maybe you'd heard I had a breakdown, which I assure you I have not had.
What are you looking at?
Hello, everyone. We are live.
Maybe he would still be here if you took better care of him.
No, guys! What do you want to do, Max? Who are you?
I mean, if Fun closes, it goes back into public land and, like, put a strip mall on it and the sloths are gone.
You aren't trying hard enough, Maxwell. Don't let me die.
Sloth fun.
I never really remember the words after that.
Folks, we are fresh out of time. I'd like to say thanks to Rex Real and the crew for a job well done. Our next show will be a 4th of July spectacular. And now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson.